Welcome, everyone. This is Advanced Objection Handling week number 47. So we have 4 objections that we're going to go over today. And these came directly from the role-playing group. That's number 1 is we want to find a house before putting ours on the market. Okay. The next one that we're going to go over is we're going to wait until next year. Okay, we've been working on things like that. Number 3 is we are not sure if we should sell our home. And then number 4 is if we sell with you, will you give us a break on the commission? So these are all very common objections. These are things that we've worked on in the past, but I want to go back to the training that we did on Tuesday when we acknowledge, approve, and then ask a question. So going back to the first objection, we want to find a house before putting our home on the market first. You know what? This is a legitimate, it's not necessarily an objection. This is more of a condition. Actually, it is a condition, right? It is a stipulation that they're being responsible human beings saying, look, before we sell our house and we're homeless, we need to go out and find one first. So depending on the market that you're in, of course, is going to be dependent on if this is a good strategy or not. I would say being in the Southern California market, you're at, if they have a house to sell, it'll probably take about 22 days to get sold. But if they're looking to buy, it's typically like buying the new iPhone, right? There's a lot of demand for that. So I can totally relate to this. So how are we going to rebuttal this? So we want to find a house before putting ours on the market. Okay, number 1, like we talked about on Tuesday, acknowledge. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I totally get that you want to find a house to buy before you put yours on the market. We acknowledged what they just said, active listening. Now we're going to make them right? So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I totally get that you want to find a house before putting your home on the market. In fact, most homeowners in your situation would do the same thing. It's the responsible thing to do. Okay. Now you just made them right. But if you don't mind me asking, right, now it's a softener, what is it that's important to you about finding the home first versus and before you put the home on the market? Okay. So this objection that we're looking at, guys, is very surface level. It doesn't give you a whole lot of information. As salespeople, our job is to solve problems. And the bigger problems that we solve, the more unique the problem we solve, you get paid more money. It's true in every profession, right? A brain surgeon gets paid more than a general practitioner, right? A 30-year seasoned trial lawyer that specializes, in DUIs gets paid more than the guy who's going to prepare your trust, right? It's specialization. So when you get these surface level, don't take them. Don't put your assumptions on why. Look, I can come up with 10 different reasons from Sunday on why it's a smart idea to find a house before putting our home on the market. But on the same token, I could come up with 10 other reasons on why it's not a good idea. And none of those matter until I understand their reasoning, their background, their situation, right? So number 1, we acknowledge. Number 2, we make them right. Number 3, we ask a question on why it's important to them. Now, I want to tie into a this or that technique, okay? So when you give somebody 2 options, usually they're going to pick one of those options, and they're not going to go for door number 3, unless you're speaking with real estate agents. I talk to real estate agents all the time and ask them, what's more important to you, increasing your profitability or decreasing your costs? Both, right? I get that all the time. So we're a rare breed. But so tying it all together, we want to find a house before putting our home on the market. Number 1, okay. Mr. and Ms. Seller, I totally get that you want to find a home to buy before you put your home on the market. In fact, most homeowners, or at least most responsible homeowners, would probably do the same thing. Now, if you don't mind me asking, what is it that's important to you about selling your home first and then putting your home on the market? Okay, and then they're going to answer you. Okay, let's say, well, the market's really, really hot. We don't want to be out of house and home. We don't want to do this. Okay, So I totally understand. So what you're saying is that you're worried that you're going to sell your home and you're not going to have a place to move to, essentially making you homeless. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Guys, you and I both know that's probably going to be the most common objection or response when it comes to this objection, right? Say, okay, you do the repeat again. I totally get it. In fact, most homeowners in this situation, they think the same thing. It's being completely right. But let me ask you this. If there was a way that you felt comfortable and confident that you could sell your home and maximize the top dollar and not have to worry about being homeless, is that something that you would take advantage of putting your home on the market right now before waiting until we find you a house? Well, God, it depends. If you don't mind me asking, what does it depend on? Well, it depends on if you can actually find us a house. Okay, that's fair. But if we could do that, then that would actually change things for you as far as your belief on how we can do this, right? Yeah, right. Okay. So that's a very easy way. So it's not, guys, it's not necessarily the words that I'm saying. It's all about advanced. The words are the fundamentals. As I use my martial arts analogies, the words are your punches, are your kicks, are your throws. It's the technique that puts it all together. So the technique that I'm sharing with you is acknowledge, make them right, ask them give a softener, ask them why it's important to them. If you just follow the fundamentals of that whole structure, rarely is there going to be an objection that's going to stump you. Okay, and I'm going to prove that because we're going to go on to the next one. So this objection, we're going to wait until next year. Again, acknowledge, make them right, softener, ask a question why it's important. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I totally get that you want to wait until next year before you sell your home. In fact, what I find is that there's a lot of homeowners that I'm talking to that feel the same way. In fact, there's a 32% reduction in inventory right now in our market. Guy, now that's like a little side note, little footnote that I want their subconscious mind to start processing, right? Because what I'm doing is I'm teeing them up that even if a quarter of those 32%, a lot of those 32% are off the market because of COVID, or because of the elections, or because of Christmas, or because of Thanksgiving, or because of, I don't know, it's cold outside. But there's a lot of them are taking their home off the market. If we didn't go through, probably a lot of it had to do with COVID too, because a lot of them came off since then. So I want to tee that up to let them start thinking, what would happen to prices if all that inventory came onto the market, not all at once, just even a little bit, if it started trickling, right? So that's the kind of things that you want the sellers to start thinking about. So we're going to wait until next year. You know what, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I totally get that you want to wait until next year. In fact, most homeowners that I'm talking to are feeling the same way with everything that's kind of going on. But if you don't mind me asking, what is it that's important to you about waiting till next year than taking advantage of the hot market right now? Okay. Notice how I did that. I tied in, taking advantage of next year, but very, long and droopy. Whereas you can take advantage of the hot market right here and now. Right? Well, actually, we all know that nobody's getting family over. Most people probably aren't going to visit family. So the whole family get together thing, that's probably not a big objection that we're going to be getting. But one of the things is if we're going to wait until next year, a lot of times it's just going to be the convenience, right? They want to spend it with their internal family, but then you want to tie it into the question of if there was a way that you felt comfortable and confident that it would net you tens of thousands of dollars more by listing and selling now than waiting till after the new year, is that something that would change your perception, or is that something that would change things for you? Well, what do you mean, Brett? Right? That's really what we're looking for. Not looking for them just to say, oh my gosh, you're right. I'm asking questions and they're going to think about it. And they're going to say, well, yeah, it might change things, but how are you going to do that? Well, that's a really great question. What I'd like to do, if you're open to it, is come over, take a look at your home, spend 25, 30 minutes to you, share with you what's going on in the market and why it might be better and it might give you more money in the here and now to sell now than later. Is that something that you would be open to doing with me sometime this week? Well, I don't know about this week. I'm busy. I got this to do. I got to take the dog. I got to do this. I got to do that. Okay. I totally get it. If you have your calendar in you, what does your next week look like? Would you be open to meeting next week? Yeah. Next week would be better. Okay. Are you better in the mornings or in the afternoons? Typically, afternoons are always best for me after 3 o'clock. Okay, cool. So I'm looking at my calendar right here. I could come over on Tuesday at 3 o'clock, or I could even push that to 3:30. Do either of those times work better? Good for you. Yeah, 3:30. Okay. Notice how I'm not doing that hardcore close. It's gradually walking them down the path, making them feel that they're the ones who are making the decisions, right? I'm not going straight for the throat, right? I'm like throwing a frog in the water, and the style that I use is conversational selling. It's not the hard closes. All of us are getting closed on really, really hard. Me asking a few other questions like, hey, would you be willing to meet with me sometime this week? Okay, I have an opening Tuesday or Thursday. Do either of those work? Thursday, great. I can do morning at 10 a.m. or 3 o'clock. I'm breaking things down to the least common denominator. It's not just saying, hey, I'm really glad you asked that question. Would you like to meet at 3 o'clock on Wednesday or at 1 o'clock on Thursday work best for you? Then you get that smile in. So that's how I would do. We're going to wait until next year. Again, it's the technique. So let's go on to the next one. We're not sure if we should sell our home. Okay. We're not sure if we sell our home. Okay, I'm a broken record here, guys. You know this. Let's talk about the technique. Acknowledge, make them right, put in a softener, ask them why it's important to them. Okay. Easy technique. So we're not sure if we should sell our home. I totally get that you're wondering if now is the right time to sell your home. In fact, most homeowners that I speak with, typically feel the same way. But if you don't mind me asking, what is it that you're unsure about that's making you feel uncomfortable about the market? Okay, guys, we're not going to assume that we know why they don't know if they should sell or not. That's not up to us. There's all kinds of reasons why. For those of you that have been in real estate or any other sales industry or actually just been on planet Earth for a while, you know that everybody has a million different reasons to do something or the other. So we're not sure if we want to sell our home or not, right? That could be a condition. That's not an objection, right? That's like, gosh, is now the right time? Now the right time to sell your home? That's a really great question. In fact, a lot of homeowners are actually asking me the same thing. If you don't mind me asking, what is it that's making you feel a little uneasy about whether you should sell your home or not? Well, this whole COVID thing, it's sort of like really messing things up. And, we're going into winter and they have this flu season and there's an asteroid coming at the planet. There's a lot of things going on. I'm just not certain about next year. Look, I totally get it. I'm not that certain. And most homeowners that I talk to aren't that certain either. But let me ask you this question. That's actually another softener, guys. Let me ask you this question. Anything that you pre-frame into an actual question is a softener. Hey, while I have you on the phone, hey, if you don't mind me asking, let me ask you a question. Hey, while you're here on the phone with me, if you don't mind me asking, it's a double softener. Anyways, look, I totally get it. There's a lot of uncertainty. A lot of homeowners are also feeling that there's a lot of certainty that's going into the market. But can you see why that might be your tactical advantage right now versus waiting if you need to sell your home? Well, what do you mean? Well, that's a really great question. If you don't mind me asking, why are you even thinking about selling your home? Why? What's the motivation? Well, gosh, we just see that the market, it's just homes are selling like hotcakes and it just seems like, we're going to miss out. FOMO, guys, fear of missing out. If their whole motivation is to maximize their top dollar, which is everybody's goal, every seller's goal, might not be the best listing for you because they don't care if they sell it or not. Going into the market that we're going into, we need to make sure that we're working with people who actually care if they sell the home or not, and that they're actually motivated to sell their home, and their whole motivation is not just the highest sales price, right? Because everyone's going to be chasing that unicorn. We want to know what their true thing is, right? Well, God, I I have a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo right now, and my wife's due with our third child here in 3 months or 6 months, or she's just pregnant, whatever, fill in the blank. And, we're just outgrowing this. Okay. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, did you know that in the history of forever, literally of the history of planet Earth in this area, that your home right now is worth more than it ever has been worth ever? Did you know that? No, I didn't. Yeah. So what that means is because of where the market's at, there's a 100% probability that if you put your home on the market right now, it's going to sell, and you're going to sell it for more than ever. That's great, right? Yeah, that is great. But I want to share do you mind if I share with you the flip side of that coin? Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Well, there's a lot of uncertainty going into the market. Do you see that? Yeah, that's what's freaking me out. That's why I don't know if I should sell. Okay. Well, there's some really smart people on this side that says that we're all in for like a bumpier ride. It's going to be worse. And then there's people who are saying that it's going to be all sunshine and rainbows. Now, I'm not leaning on any one of those sides, but can you agree that one of them are going to be wrong? Yeah. I mean, but they both can't be right. Yeah, they both can't be right. So if we have a 100% probability that you can sell your home for the most money and top dollar, you need to sell your home because your wife is pregnant and you're just gonna outbreak at the seams. And if we wait, what we're looking at is a 50-50 gamble that maybe if you sell it, the market might be about the same. You might be able to net the same much, but there's also a gamble that you could be chasing the market down. If you don't mind me asking, what would happen if you started losing $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 in equity per month? Would that change things for whether or not you could sell your home? Well, yeah, I need to tap out my equity. Yeah, most homeowners need to tap out their equity. So if we came up with a game plan that you felt comfortable and confident that we could sell your home for the most money possible in the quickest amount of time and make the transition a fairly easy move, is that something that you guys would seriously consider now versus later? Yeah, God, Brett, no one's ever really talked to me about that. I'm really happy that we talked to you. Yeah, terrific. So look, what I'd like to do is see if we can't set up a time to meet. Do you have some time this week, maybe for 30 or 40 minutes, that we can meet in person so I can share with you the process of getting a home sold? Yeah, I have some time this week. Okay, so I'm looking at my calendar. Does Tuesday or Thursday work for your time, Rain? Yeah, I could do Thursday afternoon if you have something. Does 3 o'clock work for you? Yes. Okay. So 3 o'clock on Thursday, we're going to go ahead and meet. I'm going to come out to your house. Hey, before I actually come out though, I'm going to send you over a packet of information. I call it a pre-meeting packet. In that packet, it's going to share with you how awesome I am, my 22 awesome plan of selling homes, my experience, and it's going to break down a net sheet based on the ranges of your home. So if I get that over to you tomorrow, do you think you'd be able to take 5 or 10 minutes to review that before we meet at 3 o'clock on Thursday? Yeah, that's fine. If you get that sent over to me, I'll take a look at it. Awesome. So I'll probably call you Thursday morning just to confirm that everything's still good. But until then, if you have any questions, just write them down. And I look forward to meeting with you and your wife on Thursday. Sound good? Yeah, that sounds good. Okay. So I totally went through the whole process on that. But I think it gives you guys a good indication of how do you compartmentalize an actual transaction or a conversation. There's a beginning and there's an end. But what we're doing is we're right in the rapids of a river, right? We're at the top, we're going down, no conversation's the same. We just have to use our techniques and bobbing and weaving to get down to that path, right? But every conversation, wherever these people are in your funnel, there is a process to get them from very beginning as a prospect to the very ending as a client, right? That's what we call a sales cycle. So that's how we would do. We are not sure if we should sell our home. Now, without further ado, we're going to come up to the last one. If we sell with you, will you give us a break on our commission? So I always often say that what I do here and as the CEO of our office is a lot like listing agents taking listings. So I just lost out on a big agent coming to our office because of the fact of the compensation program. And what you'll find with me is that I drink my own Kool-Aid. I know the worth that we provide. I know the worth that agents, I know how much we can help agents. And for agents who are solely focused on commission, then, there's a dime a dozen of other brokerages that would be happy to do something like that. But our focus is growth. And so I share with you that because that situation is just like this situation. You need to know your worth. You need to know your value. The longer you've been in the business, the more homes that you've sold, the more value that you bring because you have that experience. So not everybody's the same, right? If you're new to the business and you don't have a whole lot of experience behind you, and it's not just real estate experience, it's life experience, it's other fields, right? You might come from accounting, you might be a CPA, you might do other things. So there's other things that come into the value that you bring to a homeowner. It's not just experience in selling homes and how many homes you sold, but you need to come up with your own value proposition. And really, I can take you to the front end of this, but you need to be able to defend the the commission that you charge based on the value that you provide. Now, understand that in lack of value, the only thing that you can adjust, if you've maxed out your value proposition and it looks a lot like other real estate agents, then the only thing that you can adjust on to increase value is by decreasing the cost of services. So you want to make sure that how awesome you are, that there's a really long list of how awesome you are on why somebody should work with you. Half the list is going to be the same with every real estate agent. You got to have a license. You got to be with the MLS. I mean, there's a lot of different things, right? That from the perception of the consumer, they think that we're all the same. But you need to make sure that your personal marketing plan, your personal branding has a really thick stack of a list, pile of things that you provide. So let's go through this commission, and we're going to use the same technique that we've been talking about. Guys, remember, notice these are all different objections. It's not the words that I'm saying. It's all about the technique that I'm using. Okay. If we sell with you, will you give us a break on the commission? Okay. I totally get, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I totally get that you're looking to, net, that you think that you might want to net more money by getting a lower commission. In fact, most homeowners, when I talk to them about this, the commission is very important to them. But if you don't mind me asking, what is it that's important to you about getting a break on the commission? Right? So now you're getting down to their feelings. Well, we want to sell our house. We want to put the most money in our pocket. Doesn't look like, Jim Jones down the street said that he would do it for 4%. Jim Jones down the street would do it for 4%. Really? Yeah. Okay. So I'm not familiar with Jim Jones. Does he work this market area? Do you know if he's a full-time agent? No, he's just a guy that lives down the street. He's works full-time as, I don't know, an HR rep. Oh, he's a full-time HR guy, and he said that he would actually sell your home for 4%. Okay. Do you feel that Jim Jones is the right person to get the most money for your home in the quickest amount of time? Or do you think that he is just the cheapest on the market? No, he doesn't do it full time, not like you. Okay. So I want to stop right there. I could go down a rabbit hole all the way. The key here is the opening. If we sell with you, will you give us a break on our commission? Well, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I totally get that you're looking to net the most money for the sale of your home. In fact, most homeowners that I talk to, one of the most important things when choosing, but not the most important thing when choosing a realtor to work with, is the commission split, right? So if you don't mind me asking, what is it that you're looking for? Do you have something in mind? What is it that's important to you about getting a break on the commission, right? There's a whole slew of questions you can do, and you can do those questions back to back. What is it that's important to you about getting a break on the commission? Well, John Jones said this, that, and the other. Okay, so John Jones sounds like a discount agent said that they would do it for less. Just so that I understand, okay, guys, so that's a softener too. Your goal is, speaking to you, was to sell the home in the quickest amount of time for the least amount of money. Is that still the case? Yeah, that's still the case. So is the most important thing to you about just what you pay, or is what's more important to you about the results that you get? What's the results that I get? Okay. And this is where you go into, this is where you guys have to take it on your own, because that's where you kind of go into your value proposition, right? If I was competing with you guys in the field, I would be very heavy on the fact that I've sold over 1,000 homes across 26 states. They've ran a multi-state team that I would play up all the things that make me unique to work with, because it's those unique things that are going to make it to where as you increase value, and it's those unique things that are going to make it so you can demand your higher commission. But you also have to accept the fact that you will get beat out on price, and you just have to accept that. It's part of doing business. Can't win them all. And some people are more focused on the price that they pay than the overall value that they get. And that's okay. All right, guys. So thank you for those of you that showed up live. Thank you for those of you that are catching this on the replay. Have a great day. Go make some contacts.